All right. Are you ready to become a modern-day gentleman? Because today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of gentlemanly conduct.
Oh, yeah.
We're exploring this audiobook called How to Be a Gentleman, a Timeless Guide.
Timeless. Love that.
Yeah. And it's got all these tips and tricks for navigating any social situation with, grace and style.
I think a lot of people think these kind of guides are outdated,
Right, exactly.
if they're stuck in the past. But this one is really refreshing. It takes those classic principles and makes them relevant for today.
It's like a cheat sheet for making everyone around you feel comfortable and respected, even in our crazy, fast-paced world.
Yeah, I like that. A cheat sheet.
The book starts with these 10 eternal truths, like the foundation of being a gentleman.
The foundation.
Okay, yeah. Some are pretty obvious, like being grateful and respecting everyone's opinions.
Right. The basics.
But some really made me stop and think, like,
Oh, really? Like what?
okay, get this. A gentleman always carries a handkerchief.
A handkerchief.
I know. It sounds a little old-fashioned, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But picture this. You're at a funeral, and the person next to you is, like, really emotional. Tears are flowing. They can't find a tissue.
No, wait.
And you smoothly pull out your clean, crisp handkerchief and offer it to them.
Very classy.
Right? It's a small act of kindness that shows you're prepared and empathetic.
I like that. It's about thinking ahead, about the needs of others.
Exactly. It's not about showing off. It's about being considerate.
Yeah, thoughtful.
Okay, here's another one that got me. A gentleman admits when he's wrong.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I know, right? It's so hard to swallow your pride sometimes.
It is. It is. But the book really emphasizes that admitting your mistakes shows strength.
And humility.
Right. You're willing to learn and grow from your mistakes.
Which is like the definition of a true gentleman.
Exactly. So we've got these foundational truths, right? But the big question is,
How do we actually apply them in our 21st century lives?
especially with technology everywhere?
Everywhere. And the book has some really interesting points about cell phone etiquette.
Oh, that's a good one. Cell phone etiquette. Because we all struggle with that.
All the time. Okay, so first one. No phone calls the second the plane lands.
Oh, my gosh.
We've all been there. The OK for electronics is announced, and suddenly it's a cacophony of ringtones and loud conversations.
It's like everyone forgets how to be quiet for a second.
Right. But the book says a true gentleman waits until they're in a private setting to make that call.
Even if it's like a super important call.
Even then, it's about being mindful of the people around you.
Respecting their space and peace.
Okay, ready for another cell phone gem?
Hit me.
Don't walk and text at the same time.
Okay, that's a good one.
The book actually says it makes you look like a paranoid schizophrenic.
Whoa.
I know, right? I laughed out loud when I heard that.
I mean, it's funny, but also true.
It's true. It's inconsiderate and honestly kind of dangerous to be glued to your phone while you're walking down a busy street.
So it's about using technology thoughtfully.
Right. Not letting it control you or make you a nuisance.
Yeah, yeah. So we've covered the basics and dipped our toes into the world of tech etiquette.
Now I'm really curious about the book's advice on specific social scenarios.
Okay. That's where things get really interesting.
Like how to handle those awkward moments we all face.
It's like a guide to navigating the social maze.
Exactly. And I think it's got some really helpful tips.
Let's dive into that.
Let's do it. All right, let's tackle dining etiquette. I mean, who hasn't felt a little lost at a fancy dinner with all those forks and spoons?
Yeah, those can be intimidating. But you know what? The book breaks it down so simply.
Oh, really?
It demystifies those elaborate place settings.
Okay, how so?
It's like a simple rule. You work your way in from the utensils farthest from your plate.
Oh, so that's how it works. That makes so much sense.
No more fork confusion.
No more fork confusion, exactly. But what about, like, really tricky foods? You know, those things that make you nervous even if you've been to a lot of fancy dinners?
Like escargot.
Yes, escargot, exactly.
Wow. Well, the book has you covered.
Oh, way.
It actually gives detailed instructions on how to handle those little snails.
Like, what does it say?
Okay, so you use those special tongs to hold the shell, and then you use a tiny fork to, like, scoop out the meat.
I can't even picture that.
And it even jokes about how you got to have a good grip on those tongs or things could get messy.
Oh, I can imagine. Escargot flying across the table.
Exactly. But beyond, like, the mechanics of eating, the book also talks about pacing yourself during the meal.
Okay, yeah. Like not gobbling everything down.
Right. You wait until everyone's served before you start eating.
That's just polite.
Exactly. And, avoiding those little habits that can be distracting to others,
Like what?
like crunching on ice cubes.
Oh, yeah. That's the worst.
It's all about being present and mindful,
respecting everyone at the table.
Right. Speaking of being a good host, the book has some interesting advice about throwing parties.
Oh, I love a good party.
Me too.
Huh.
And this book covers everything, like how to stock a bar, how to handle unexpected guest behavior,
Oh, good one.
and even how to gracefully decline help.
Decline help. Isn't it polite to accept when someone offers to help?
It can be tricky. The book's perspective is that as the host, you're trying to create a specific atmosphere.
Right. Okay.
And accepting help, even though it's well-intentioned, sometimes messes up the flow.
Like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly. And, when it comes to stocking the bar,
Okay, yeah.
it's about quality over quantity. You don't need to have every single kind of liquor.
You don't need to go overboard, right?
No, not at all. Just focus on the basics, like good scotch, vodka, gin, wine,
And plenty of mixers.
and ice. Don't forget the ice.
Because your guests are there to enjoy your company, not be impressed by some crazy cocktail menu.
Right, exactly. But, let's switch gears for a second.
Yep.
Let's talk about something I think a lot of people struggle with. Difficult conversations.
Ooh. Yeah. Those are always tough.
They can be really awkward. And this is where the book's focus on empathy and respect is really helpful.
What kind of advice does it give?
It covers a lot of scenarios, like offering condolences, apologizing, addressing a friend's faux pas.
Okay, yeah. All those tricky situations.
And the key is to always approach these conversations with sensitivity, putting yourself in the other person's shoes.
So it's all about how you say things?
Exactly. It's about choosing your words carefully.
What are some things to keep in mind?
Like when you're offering condolences, keep it simple and heartfelt.
Don't get all, like, cliche.
No, none of that. Just express your sympathy and offer support.
What about apologizing? I feel like I'm always messing that up.
The book's advice is to be direct, sincere, take responsibility, and don't make excuses.
Okay. Own your mistakes.
Exactly. Acknowledge what you did wrong, say you're sorry, and commit to doing better.
Sounds like good advice. What about, like, when you need to address a friend's bad behavior?
Okay, so in those situations, the book says privacy and kindness are key.
Okay, so don't call them out in public.
Right. And don't attack their character. Focus on the specific behavior.
So instead of saying you were so rude, you could say something like,
Hey, I noticed you seemed frustrated. Is everything okay?
so it's about expressing your concern without, like, blaming them.
Exactly. And these principles apply to our professional lives, too.
The workplace, yeah.
It's a whole other ball game.
Oh, yeah,
The workplace, it can be a minefield.
totally. Where do you even begin with workplace etiquette?
Well, the book has some really good advice about how to handle those tricky situations.
Like what kind of situation?
Well, for example, it talks about what to do if you have a coworker who's always, chatting away and disrupting your workflow.
Oh my gosh, I've had that coworker.
Right. So distracting when you're trying to focus.
And it can be so awkward to tell them to be quiet.
I know, but the book actually encourages a direct approach.
Really?
Yeah, but polite, of course. It suggests saying something like, hey, I'm on a deadline right now. Can we chat later?
So acknowledging them, but also setting a boundary.
Exactly. And it's important to be upfront about needing to focus on your work.
So they don't take it personally.
Right. But what about those super sensitive conversations?
Like what?
Like, if you need to address a coworker's hygiene issue.
Oh gosh, I don't even want to think about that.
I know, right? It's so uncomfortable. But the book has some surprisingly good advice on this.
Okay, I'm curious. What does it say?
It says, the key is to handle it privately, with kindness, and be discreet.
So definitely don't embarrass them in front of everyone.
No, absolutely not. You want to focus on the issue, not the person.
Right. And keep it short and to the point.
Exactly. And maybe offer a helpful suggestion. Like if someone has coffee breath, you could say, hey, have you tried those breath mints? They work wonders.
So you're not, like, attacking them. You're just trying to help.
Exactly. You're just trying to make them aware of something they might not even realize.
Makes sense. Okay, what about navigating the power dynamic with your boss? That can be tricky.
It can be. You want to be respectful, but also stand up for yourself.
Right. You don't want to be a pushover.
Exactly. And the book talks about finding that balance between assertiveness and deference.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Well, you can disagree with your boss, but you have to do it respectfully.
And professionally.
Yes. The book suggests phrasing your opinions as suggestions, not demands.
So instead of saying we should do it this way, you might say,
Have you considered this approach? I think it could be really effective.
that's a good tip. It's about being collaborative, not confrontational.
Exactly. It seems like all this advice boils down to one thing. Being a gentleman is about more than just following rules.
It's a way of being.
Yes, it's about kindness, respect, and consideration for everyone.
It's like a code of conduct for making the world a little bit better.
Exactly. And this book, it gives you the tools to put those principles into practice.
In every aspect of your life.
Right, from the dining table to the workplace and everywhere in between.
I love that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into how to be a gentleman, I have a question for our listeners.
Oh, sure.
Think about someone you admire for their gentlemanly qualities. What is it about them that you respect? And how can you embody those same traits in your own life? It's something to think about.
It is. It's about taking these timeless principles and making them your own.
And in doing so, making the world a more pleasant place for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself.